know how to.
Oh, it's going live. I don't know why it's doing it now.
You just pressed it a lot.
Well, it was my angry face. That is hilarious. It's our Tuesday content journey chats. And this week, we're going to talk about several things, one of which is a plot twist. And when you make angry faces at YouTube Live, apparently it works. While your team encourages you on the other side.
True. It's our top secret technical answer of how to work YouTube Live.
Right? You repeatedly click, you get frustrated, you make an angry face, and then all of a sudden, it goes.
I mean, where else can you get marketing expertise like this on a Tuesday?
I know, right? And so there we go. So hire us for all of your YouTube Live needs.
I mean, I was getting nervous about that face. I mean, I was Googling stuff. I didn't even know what I was Googling. I was just Googling, find an answer.
What do we do when Lindsay gets angry? When she gives angry face, we Google things.
Anything.
Right? Okay. Happy Tuesday. 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
We're here.
We've been doing a lot of this deep breathing lately, reminding ourselves to breathe.
Remind ourselves. So, James Story, who I think we could start calling him a mentor. Let's not tell him that, but I think at some point, right? He's sort of turning into that. But at his former company, so that one he founded and he's since exited from, he started every meeting with like all of this, what I would call like really touchy-feely stuff and like grounding exercises and like deep breathing and things. It was a wellness focused health company. And I found that really, I don't know, like, I think it would be hard for me to get there, but I love that he did that.
You and I would giggle through the whole thing.
Was it internal and external meetings?
I don't know. I think that'd be a good question to ask him.
I could definitely see doing it like internally. I think it could be. I could see that I would be the one of the three of us to be like, let's do it.
Yes.
And then I would be like,
doing
really?
That in a client meeting? I feel like that would be super awkward in a client meeting.
Can you imagine our Texas clients and Emily, you'd be like, you know what? We're going to start this meeting differently today. We're going to do some grounding and deep breathing. So I want everyone to close your eyes and find 5 things around you that, because like grounding exercises, it's like 5 things you can feel, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can smell, right? 2 things, some things you could taste.
Because I'm going to come to the meeting after that.
Ken is now late to meetings.
That's right. The person is always on time will be late.
Yes.
She's like 3.5 minutes late. Is that how long?
Is that how
I'll be?
Right. So I don't breathe with you.
Okay. So we're off track too. Okay. So we're off track and late and frustrated for today's meeting. So, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. One of which is a happier shift. So we do our highs and lows every week. And I kind of surprised myself with my high a little bit from last week. Surprised me with what I said about the presentation that almost went awry.
Yeah.
So you were like really excited by it because you were like, it worked out great. And I got to like think on my feet and was just really in my element. And I had goosebumps and like all cringy feelings, and you were really excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes so much sense for you too, because you do prefer more like free flow to like, here's my slide deck, ABC.
Right. I mean, like sometimes it's nice to have slides so like you stay on track, but often when I have slides, I'm moving around them anyway. And then I feel like I don't have the freedom and flexibility to be like, actually, I'm going to skip ahead a few, or let's go back to this other one. And Friday, I was able to do that. Like we were just like, well, let me go here, and was able to kind of like move through it freely. But I mean, for sure there was moments of panic. So for anyone who's like, watching this live or watching this later, we had a social media workshop that we were presenting, and we were told that everyone would have laptops, and we would talk about a concept, and then they would create the thing, like the content calendar. So Emily was going to talk about content calendars. Kenna and I would then walk around the audience, answer questions as they built their content calendar. Then we would move on to captions, repeat the process, right? And I would go talk about this, and et cetera, et cetera. So we get there, and not only does everyone not have laptops, there's not even a laptop on every table, nor does the audio visual equipment work properly. And so there was a whole lot of just going, okay, how do we make this work in the moment? And it was a paid opportunity too. So we weren't just doing it for, I don't know, PR. I mean, we were actually getting paid to be there. And so you want to make sure that you're giving people value on top of that too, right? But yeah, it was kind of like, okay, let's make this happen. And then, the person who brought us in sent this fantastic email afterwards and was like, would you come back and do another one? And, I'd love to have you come back for another hour. It was, so fantastic. I'm like, sure, as long as I don't have to have slides,
It was so great. And it was probably, I mean, the audience engagement shocked me, honestly, because we had planned for them to engage in so many ways, but they had so many questions, like really good questions and it felt in some ways like the audience was like, how about we like go for a drive together and we'll trust you to be our chauffeur, but like, we want to talk about all the things.
Yeah.
It was really great.
So much so that we had like 20 minutes to go over, here's how you create an image and here's how you write captions. Because it was like an hour and a half long. And we did so much of like letting the audience lead and just like going, okay, you want to see that thing? Let's go show you that thing. Or great question. Let's dive into that further. That we're like, oh crap, we have to show you how to make an image and write a caption. Let's do that really fast. And content calendar. We did content calendar, images, and captions in the last 20 minutes of the presentation.
Yeah.
And that was it. And showed like how to contact us for about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun. Yeah. And I loved it. Okay. So Corey Miller helped us create some slides that we put out on LinkedIn this week, talking about sales and marketing teams working collaboratively together. And it's something that we see a whole lot in enterprise companies, right? So when we were at, Liquid Web Nexus, specifically when I did my time there, like our marketing and sales teams were really closely connected, but we don't see that a whole lot outside of enterprise. I think they tend to be like business development's over here, marketing's over here, and there's not a lot of collaboration. And so these slides that we put together are really talking about how they should be best friends. And so I wanted to bring that up to us, or Emily did actually, and let us discuss it on how we see that looking in practice for either our clients at Content Journey, maybe the ones that don't and should and maybe could. And so what do you all think?
Like the first thing that popped in my mind was the financial element of it. I think that sometimes when it comes to someone who's tasked with sales and it's like, you're wanting to take like a portion of my sales budget and invest it in content marketing, that can feel like a threat almost, instead of like, oh, what we're investing in is actually going to help drive my sales. And so I could see there being like some tension in those places of like, can I actually trust that this investment is going to like support my efforts?
Right.
Is it really my best friend, or is it like kind of like just stealing from me or taking from me, I guess. Is some of it, I've heard different teams kind of talk through some of those elements of wondering how they work together.
Yeah. What do you think, Kenna?
Well, I think that what Emily just said is important because it is sometimes hard to quantify, right? So you've
Mhm.
got this group that's going, you've got your sales team going, you're taking my money and investing it in what? And then you've got us saying, but look at this traffic that your site is getting now. And then you've got still the sales team or the bean counters going, okay, but how does that equal the dollars? Like, how do we quantify the value of having a certain amount of traffic or a certain number of hits? And we were just talking before the chat about how we've had clients who were really good at saying, okay, this much traffic is this much in conversions for us, results in this much business. And then we've had those who aren't quite as good at that. And it's probably difficult at times to continue justifying that expenditure in content marketing if you can't see the dollar value of that to your growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if to track it, you have to buy another tool.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's hard. Rebecca Gill, our SEO extraordinaire person, she does a lot of the traffic work at All Counseling, so allcounseling.com. And so we were talking about like, okay, so we need to get more profile claims. So therapists who are going over there and claiming their profile and updating it or adding their profiles. And so we're using SEO and that traffic is like shooting up. So we started, the website's not very old, right? It's a year and a half old. So it went from 0 to, 40,000 views or 50,000 views in that time. And we get, let's say, 50 people a month that go over there and claim their profiles. Well, we really need more like 200 or 300 in order to reach the goal of touching, 5,000 mental health helpers in the next year, right? To make the impact that they want to make. And so we're like, okay, Rebecca, so how do we do this math? And so because we have those numbers in and of themselves, we don't necessarily have to have other tracking outside of it, except that. But like it, because that one's pretty simple, right? We can look traffic, we can look at claim profiles, we can make those correlations and then know like where we need to get, right? We can make some assumptions using some math. But it gets a little bit more difficult when we have multiple products, multiple pages of those products, multiple ways that we're bringing people in. So like All Counseling doesn't have ads.
Right.
It's literally all organic. So we know that that's how people are finding it. And so like, then it gets really, really complicated. And then you need another system to say, what is it? Is it the blog post? Is it the page? Is it the advertisement? Is it social media? Is it the television ad? Is it the digital ad? And then it's hard to look at that ROI.
Yeah.
When you were talking about how you see it more in enterprise companies, and I think that's an important distinction because it's all about that more sophisticated strategy, right? That you might not see in smaller businesses who are just saying, we want more revenue. How are you going to get to that? And how much do you need in organic traffic to sign one more person to your service or whatever the case may be? Which is challenging for us too, right? To try to build backward and try to help them identify those measures if we can.
Right.
And another element of this that we were talking about in terms of building backward is like honoring like the expertise of sales or of that small business owner to help shape the content that we're creating. So recognizing that they are the ones like interfacing with potential customers, they're hearing the questions potential customers are asking. And so content marketing can support their efforts by creating content around the questions that people are asking them anyways. recognizing that like a wider audience likely has the exact same questions. And so if we're answering those questions on behalf of those searchers, then their traffic will increase, which should lead to increased sales. And I think sometimes maybe that's a disconnect. It's when it comes to like, what does content marketing do? Why do we need these blog posts? So helping like paint the picture of how it supports sales and how like we can work backwards from like customer acquisition to like, what are all the stops along the way? I think is really helpful to clarify those relationships.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why we started partnering with Parsley, is because they are a specific ROI tool for content marketing, which is really interesting way. And not many people do that. Not many tools do that. And they look at a lot of different things, and their dashboard, the way that it's even pulled together is, I don't know, it's not so high level. Like I know Google Analytics, even like you can set up goals, you can set up conversions, you can set up all of this stuff, but sometimes it feels like you really need to be a data scientist to look at Search Console and analytics and make sense of it. And Parsley, it feels like it's a lot easier to make sense of the data because they're pulling those correlations together for you, or even setting up custom dashboards for things that are important for your business. And it can be a lot more affordable than, some of the other things that are out there. And so it's nice to have that option for clients, who just go, we want to invest in this. We can't make sense of it. We have to have, some kind of metric to point to. And so we can be like, okay, well then it does have an added cost to it, but
Sure.
we can get you that if you use our partner here.
Yeah. I think go ahead.
I think you said something really important too in thinking about our onboarding for clients, right? And the questions, we have a standard set of questions that we ask every client to kind of get to those answers. Because sometimes I think that people, they're experts on their businesses and really on their audience or on their target clients, but they don't really know what they know, right? So they don't necessarily know how to articulate to us what it is that people are really looking for, or why exactly this is the solution to their problem. So I think those questions are formed in a really thoughtful way to help y'all. I'm not in those calls, but to help y'all during those onboarding calls to really kind of dig in and help them uncover their expertise about their clients.
Yeah. I love that.
I think that's really true. And I do agree, like that they really don't know what they know. And that sometimes the things that seem like simple and just part of everyday practices are really like the thing that's like driving more people to choose that business as their solution. And so it can be hard to see what's right in front of you sometimes. And that really is our work, is like, how do we uncover those things? How do we help highlight those things in a way that's like impactful to your audience?
And then on the other end of it going, okay, we know that this is the solution that they bring. What keyword or keyword phrase are people going to search for to find that thing, that answer, or that product or service?
That's been such a funny part of the process with so many people, because I think that can be a real challenge for people that are on the front end. I'm thinking in particular of one of our clients that like looks at their keyword research and they're like, but we call it that. And I'm like, yeah, I know you call it that, but this is what the searchers call it. And like, we can use both things, right? Like, how do we definitely will like use your language and highlight what you do, but we also have to like satisfy what are the Google searchers searching so that like your answer shows up there.
Right. I like to use political references, not because I ever want to talk politics, but when I was in politics, we used elected official a lot. Like it was just like what we said internally. It was like, oh yeah, what's the elected official's name? We wouldn't say like, more common language. And like no one goes to Google and says, who's my elected official? You know, like no one does that. You know, they're going to say, you know, who's my representative, who's my senator, who's my political, well, they're going to, you know, whatever. They're going to say something else besides elected official more than likely. Right.
Right.
And even thinking about lawyers, how many different names does a
Right.
lawyer have? And that changes by geography, it changes by type of law, and it just
Mhm.
changes by the person, like what I choose to say. If I'm gonna
Mhm.
say lawyer, attorney, or counselor, even,
Right.
right? Or counsel.
Mhm.
There's so many terms out there, and so you have to follow the data every single time.
Mhm.
But anyway, so we're a little bit off subject, but we have a 1 minute left. So final thoughts on sales and marketing teams working together and being best friends. So Emily and then Kenna.
I mean, I think that there are so many clients that come to us like kind of wondering like, why do I need a blog if like at the end of the day what I want is another sale, and understanding how like driving traffic to your site really can result in supporting your sales efforts and increase the sales that you're wanting, can just like really support the efforts that you're doing to engage your audience and increase the audience that you can work with and offer your services to.
Yeah. And Kenna, what is your final thought?
They can't buy from you if they don't know you exist.
So
Yeah.
true.
I mean, there are 4 billion people online. You want to miss that potential market. Is that the right number?
I don't even know. Let me Google it.
I'm gonna Google it. Yeah. Anyway, there are billions of people, right?
Mhm.
So if nothing else, awareness, you get awareness.
Mhm.
And then I kind of feel like, you know, that conversion, that's up to you. It's up to your product. It's up, but they can't even consider you if they don't know you're there.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a blog post somewhere that says like, you know, your website is your best salesperson. And so I think websites, content marketing, they prep your salespeople because they prep your customer for the sales
Mhm.
call or weed them out, right? They let them know like this is for me or this isn't for me. They answer their questions before they make the phone call. And they just make everything a little bit better. And so the marketing team, by talking to the sales team, finds out what those questions that they repeatedly get are. They answer it with marketing via social media or email or on the website. And it just streamlines those salespeople's processes, but they can't do that unless they're talking together. And
Mhm.
so I think the website is the landing place for this relationship of sales and marketing. And when they're working really well together,
Mhm.
it can be a beautiful relationship. So I know. I don't remember how I'm supposed to end these things, but thank you both for joining me for our live chat today, and for anyone else who is watching live on YouTube. And we'll have this video on our channel. And make sure you follow us on all of our other social channels. Let us know your thoughts on sales and marketing teams working together. And if you have any, I don't know, tips or clues or anything else on how you've seen it work a little bit better, I'd love to hear those, and we can put them in our newsletter and share it with anyone else. So